Thank you for joining me for the monthly Missions Moment. I'm just going to take you through the month of April. So to support our current missionaries, we require $2,500 a month. Well, we had $2,500 come in, and praise the Lord for that. But beyond that, your heart was to do more. Several of you have supported missionaries through our church that have touched your heart. And we had an additional $979 come in beyond the $2,500. And yet still, God provided even an abundance more. $893 came in that was just designated missions. And of course, it will be used for missions. But that currently sits in a surplus right now in our missions account. So God is blessing our missions program as you continue to follow His will. So let's get to know a few of our missionaries now. Andrew Pannell of England. God used Andrew Pannell in a very powerful, significant way in extremely difficult, dangerous locations. First in Eurasia, then in England. But he stayed the course and planted churches. God has redirected his path now. He is at a Biblical Ministries worldwide, and it's a paid position. So it's with a saddened heart that we'll no longer be supporting him, but we do continue to pray that God would bless his ministry here stateside. Andy and Connie Ricci, well, we know them quite well. Bob, Miss Cheryl Ricci are faithful here at Tri-City Baptist Church, and this is their son and daughter-in-law. They serve in Kenya, Africa. I had the great joy of being able to actually go over and see his ministry firsthand. And they are all about church plant work. And here he writes about yet another young man that he's discipling for a church. And that particular church is already beginning to form. So you pray for Brother Andrew that Brother Andy is discipling right now as he rises up to be the leader of that new church work that he seeks to establish right here in Kenya, Africa. So pray with Brother Andy about his new disciple, Brother Andrew. Brother BJ and Miss Denise Stagner, of course, are no strangers to us. We love them so very much. They've been at our church many, many times. God has blessed Brother BJ and enabled him to establish a couple of churches already in the UK and countless ministries. But boy, did it close down. COVID-19 struck the UK and they shut the churches absolutely down. And they have phased them in stage 4, which means they can't open up again until mid to late July. Pray for Brother BJ. He is continually broadening his influence online, but that is all he can do right now. But pray that the Lord would continue to help his church to grow through this time, and that perhaps UK might have a different heart about how they've planned to open up. Brother Edgar and Miss Roseanne Fagala, they have been used by God in extraordinary ways. Planting churches, having Bible conferences, motivating local pastors, establishing radio stations. That's just the beginning. And yet, it continues to go. Now, COVID-19 has affected their ministry, as he conveys in his latest letter, that it has shut down the Middle East. And they've had to stop an awful lot of the things that they were doing. But he specifically asks prayer that we would pray that God would allow him to have his Bible conference in the month of May. That's a big event for them. That's where their pastors come in and they gather together and they remotivate about getting back out and getting those church plants underway. So pray for Edgar Fagala and his ministry, and specifically that this Bible conference can go on in the month of May. Well, I got a special treat for you now. Brother Adam Cruz worked here for a number of years, and God touched our heart about planting a church in Lehigh, Florida. Brother Cruz answered that call, and he has so planted that church. And we're going to take a moment to hear from him personally how God is still working in Lehigh, Florida.
Hello, Pastor Adam Cruz here with Truth Baptist Church. It's a privilege to be able to give you an update on how our ministry is going in Lehigh Acres. It's been interesting these past few weeks with the coronavirus going around. We have moved our church services from inside to doing drive-in services. So for the past 6 weeks, we've been doing our typical services, singing and preaching outside. We've set up some speakers, and to our surprise, as we've been preaching, not only have the neighbors been hearing us in that community, but they've heard us all the way down across the main road from where we're at. We actually had a visitor come just a few weeks ago from the Ace Hardware store. They heard the service going on as they were shopping, And to our surprise, the very next Sunday they drove in and wanted to be a part of our service. God's been very good to us, and we're thankful that we've had the opportunity to preach the gospel during this confusing time. We're also excited that this past week was our first Sunday back in our auditorium. One step at a time, God's been good, and we're hoping to continue even through these difficult times to reaching the lost in our community.
Thank you, Brother Cruz. We rejoice with you in your ministry, how God is continuing His work. Pray for them and pray for the work there in Lehigh. Well, I'm super excited about our future here. The month of June, we've got somebody coming in that I believe is doing a phenomenal job in Mexico, and that's Jonathan Anderson. We currently support him. If you haven't met him, you'll have that opportunity to meet him. The first week of July, you're going to get to meet a missionary that many of you have never met before. His name is Robert Mickey. And I'm telling you, he is a modern-day William Carey, Jim Elliot. He has a story that will change your life. And I'm excited about him sharing that with you the first week of July. Our missions conference will be on the venue very soon, but as of right now, the 5 churches involved that put on the missions conference are still communicating about what the right time is. So stay tuned for further announcement concerning our missions conference. Well, that's the missions update for this month. So thank you very much for joining us for our monthly missions moment. We'll see you back next month.